Welcome back to the UKLC. Shavada, we got our first team. I'm Vipering, by the way. That's my name. We got our first team. What do you mean it's not? What? No. Finish that thought. Finish that thought. If my name's not Vipering, then what is it? I'm looking directly at camera now. Like, you shouldn't do this if you're doing camera mode. I'm just going to stare at you until you answer.
William.
Yeah, he's right, you know. But, yeah, it's a good save. It was close, but you did it. Second game of the day, you know, second series of the day, I should say, actually, because we've already had two games in this one. London Esports coming up against NVision, and both of these teams looking to get their spot in Telia Masters. Both have decent claims.
Yeah, definitely. I think for London, right, they've been there before. Both these teams, actually, both these organizations been there once before.
They have.
So fighting for a revisit, right? Fighting to potentially make it all the way. London, if I recall their results in the previous Telia, I think they're already one game away from qualifying into the playoffs. I think they actually had a really good. I think they had a really good time of it. NVision, I'm unsure about their summer run. It's been an entire year since their summer run, so I'm not gonna have great memory on everything all the time.
Struggled. I remember because I cast some of it for them.
Okay, there you go.
They really struggled. They basically beat the couple of teams that go into Telemaster. You look at and like, yeah, they're probably not getting very far. But when it was high level opposition, they didn't do too great.
Yeah. So for NVision, you know, it's going to be a tough series, especially after the tiebreaker game, where it didn't look too great. Obviously, we've spoken about the mid laner having to be subbed out and Faded coming in, and it's just poor timing, right? You play with a 5 for the entire of your regular split, and then all of a sudden you have a substitute come in for playoffs. Yeah, it's going to affect teams.
It's tricky. Yeah, it's difficult when you've bedded in, you've got a group of players that are playing pretty well together to have to make that swap. But on the other hand, they have individually technically very, very gifted players in pretty much every position. Yeah. A couple of these guys who, at the beginning of the split, people were questioning. The likes of Fu, the likes of Yonotas as well, who's maybe come in and proven to be one of the best players in the league, right? Like, things have clicked at just the right time for a lot of these players. On the other side, London Esports, a lot of people always kind of expected them to be in this position where they were playing for that spot in Telia. It's been hit or miss a little bit, but I think it's been more hit than miss.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair assessment. I think, you know, when we see London playing at their scariest, they look like they could be champions of the UKLC. But sometimes we do just genuinely see these kind of just strange decisions being made. It doesn't necessarily matter who the player is, or sometimes it's just a team decision. It looks like something doesn't quite click all of the time for London. But yeah, on Thursday, it seemed to click, and it seemed to click very hard. And we saw that very fast and decisive win for the side selection match. And if we're just going to get a repeat of that level of performance, I don't know if NVision between then and today would have realistically had enough time to potentially catch up and deal with that level of performance. But if we see sort of a more relaxed London where they're maybe not so quick to make these plays and not so willing to make these plays, because it's playoffs, there's a slightly different air about the matches today, right? Mentalities can shift. Then maybe there's, I beg your pardon, room for NVision to actually make some of these plays. But if it's the same London, I have very, very big worries for NVision.
It's a tale of two teams right now where, because of us having that really recent tiebreaker and having seen these two teams in action against each other, if London play their game, London win. If they play the game they played, I don't know if this NVision roster, individually, those players can step up, but I don't know if the roster as a whole is going to be able to quickly step up to that level, like as such a leap from what we've seen from them throughout the split. They're like baseline play. And NVision need to find a way of playing better, because they, on Thursday, when the tiebreaker was, they strictly weren't good enough to compete with the London team, even if they hadn't been that decisive and that quick. We're in to pick some bans for our first game of this series. What are we going to see banned and picked here, Jamada?
Yeah, so I think the grades does make a fair amount of sense when you're talking about Honatus. He looks very, very confident and like happy to play this champion. So removing that one away from him, and of course it is a flexible pick. It can be played in the solo lanes as well. Irelia are going to be removed away just because, again, a very strong champion on this patch. We haven't seen too many teams actually pick up in the UKLC. I'm struggling actually to recall an Irelia game. Maybe we've seen at least one. But Ziggs, of course, we've seen some of the power of Ziggs today already, and just in general on this patch, these couple of patches, just seems like one of the strongest champions in the game. Some of the buffs that they've given him over time. Xin Zhao, we already know, very established and no name, very scary. When he's had his hands on this champion, he just has this kind of relentless aggression, which is very fitting for a Xin Zhao, to be honest. And Viego going to be traded back and forth. I imagine we then see the Gwen traded out as well, but Thresh is also up and available, so it looks like Blanc instead going to be removed away from BD just because he is very scary on that champion. And if it is this Gwen lock-in, expect NVision to go something like Thresh plus a jungler, maybe to match this Gwen on the top side, or a solo lane like Lee Sin.
Diana's available.
Diana
that we didn't see last series.
Diana could be an option. There are honestly quite a few things NVision could go for. And with the Diana being locked in, again, right, looking at maybe AD laners or that set in particular, but it's going to be the Lucian this time around. Expecting this one to be in Vader's hands. So let's see exactly what the new mid laner could do. Didn't really have an opportunity to show off exactly on Thursday.
Didn't really play the game.
Yeah, the rest of the team around him kind of crumbled, I will say. Faded wasn't really much the vocal point for NVision, and it wasn't really the focus point for London. It was more about the side lanes for London on Thursday. So looking to see what Faded can do on an agency pick like Lucian. This time around though, no name, I imagine is going to be the one piloting this Lee Sin. And we saw what he did on Thursday. He's a very strong Lee Sin player, very confident. It's one of the picks that he came up on into the UK scene with. It's one of the picks he's known for, so I can see him on it. And it looks like Thresh will just be picked to H because it is still up and available. They don't want to hand it over to Old Stones. And that could potentially make the support pool choice a bit difficult, but with Nautilus up, it's usually the response we see into that. To just give NVision a little bit of hard engage. Or Blitzcrank is an option, and it is going to be the Blitzcrank. Okay.
Hooks on hooks on hooks. And it must be said that Yepe is such a great Thresh player. This is a massive coup for this London Esports roster to pick up this pick. Moving into the second round of bans, it's going to be Mankey's Ezreal. Again, comfort being removed away. They could look to take away another marksman that goes along with that Thresh as well. Maybe the Aphelios needs to be looked at. Yeah,
I think the Aphelios is probably the next best ban for NVision. If you're London, though, I think you probably ban out tops. Things that can deal with Gwen, because you don't want to pinch the AD pool anymore than NVision may. And it looks like that will be the answer here for London. So Camille's going to be the first ban. We could actually see Set just be removed away from DBL. I think Wukong is also another good option and pick for DBL too. It brings a lot of team fight prowess to NVision, but both those picks do. So they're really going to have to pick their poison on that one, because I imagine that will be DBL's pick. Either the Wukong or the Set. But for NVision, looking at that Aphelios ban, right? That maybe they look towards Mankey's Jinx, maybe they even look towards Seraphine, or actually Tristana. Okay, so actually NVision removing away two picks that can buffer the rocket jump. That's actually, I think, the trend here that they're going for. Aphelios, even if he's got the Thresh there, at the end of the day, if you hook him away from the lantern, he's still going to be hooked. So I think that does make sense. And something like the Callisto or maybe the Varus, just a strong lane bully to pair with this Blitzcrank would definitely be the best option. Got mid lane priority coming out from Faded in most worlds. But instead, okay, Trundle top to actually stat check the Gwen. So leaving the AD pick until the very last rotation, definitely an interesting choice, but you can also understand it, considering they're already looking at the Gwen. And London, even though they've got flexibility in the picks, realistically, no name's probably piloting the Lee Sin, and Akers should be on that Gwen.
Yeah, it's going to be seeing what London decide to round out their composition with. The Seraphine will be a lock-in. This one feels like a Beely pick, I think, more than a Mankey pick.
No, it's probably Mankey's.
You reckon?
Yeah, Mankey's been on a lot of utility duty recently. Things like Karma, just other AD carries that aren't necessarily dealing a whole bunch of damage for his team. It's normally Mankey that's providing a whole bunch of the utility, whilst the rest of his team deals all the damage. So I'm expecting this one to be Mankey's. Yeah. And they're actually going to stack up potentially if they go Orianna with some of the utility. And honestly, it can work. It does put a lot of eggs into the Gwen basket in terms of actually finding some of that damage. We could also see Mankey actually go down like the actual AP route itself. And the response relatively swift is going to be the Kai'Sa thing. So looking to sort of get involved in some of the dives of Diana, but not sure exactly how Kai'Sa is going to fare in terms of like some of the ranged poke that Seraphine will put out. It's going to be definitely on Old Stones to find some of those hooks in lane to keep the pressure consistent, because that's when Kai'Sa definitely can thrive, when you've got those skirmishing bombs.
Well, we've got our two compositions. As you said, damage could potentially be an issue for London Esports if they can't get this Gwen going, but we've seen Akers play this pick. I believe this is what Akers played into NVision in that tiebreaker.
Yeah.
You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but it looked like a really nice pick. There have been some people who have said, and I can't remember for the life of me who was the person I was having a discussion about this with, that Trundle may well be the response into Gwen though. So we'll have to see if DBL's been listening into my private calls, or if he knows something about this pickup. But two really, really strong team compositions where I'm not seeing either of these teams really having one draft.
Yeah, I can definitely sort of agree with you on that front. I think both these drafts have their weak points and their strong points, their pros and cons, and realistically, I think it's going to come down to execution and who they put their resources into, right? I think for London, it seems relatively obvious that you probably want to put most of your resources into Akers here. NVision, of course, had the counter pick. They put the Trundle into it. It can match some of the early trading power, but I do worry about some of the scaling aspects just because Gwen is such a powerful scaling champion. Like, even if Trundle is going, the Bruiser build, Divine Sunderer into Sterax, Gwen can probably sustain and heal through that. Even if you strip away her resists, she's still doing mostly true damage to you anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much as far as side lane goes. And teamfight impact likely to be more felt on the side of the Gwen than it is the Trundle, especially when Trundle shouldn't really have a tank to actually sap many stacks off either. So yeah, that's definitely going to be an issue. I'm imagining Hepe, in mind of knowing there's a Trundle in the game, may have gone Guardian. I know you have the live feed up, so maybe you can.
He hasn't. He's gone Aftershock.
Still gone Aftershock. Okay, so
yeah,
keep your eyes on that interaction. If Hepe does pop Aftershock in front of DBL, if DBL does sap those stats off, he will be a little bit tankier than if he does subjugate anybody else. But of course, subjugating anybody is still going to strip away those resists. But yeah, and over to the NVision side, we've spoken about London enough now. Sort of looking towards the mid jungle, right? Seeing what Faded can do on the solution pick. You should have priority into the Orianna and try and unlock Quanitus to potentially move down to the bottom side. I imagine that's the goal here for this draft. You let DBL play the top lane 1v1 out. He's got Ignite, he's got Teleport, and he's not really going to be looking to do anything else in most worlds. So that's what I'm expecting from NVision in the early game. That's what I'm expecting from London in the early game. Let's see if it comes to fruition, because last week, London, or rather on Thursday, not last week, London did a really good job of executing an early game plan. They made the map split work. They didn't really allow NVision to play the game, and they enabled themselves to have so much freedom. If we get a repeat of that, we're in for a very, very fast series. But we're here. Game one of the second series of the day. It's London versus NVision.
Hey, you stole my line. Oi.
It's my line now.
What do you mean? You can't say we're on to the riff. That's literally all I'm here for, Jamada. Come on.
True.
Come on now.
To be fair, my play-by-play is not that bad.
It's not bad. My color casting is abysmal. So let's not swap, because I don't know if the good people at home would be able to cope with that. The analysis. Oh, Fresh's London Esports have the late game because Fresh technically infinitely scales. It's stuff like that you don't get on other broadcasts because they hire real analysts. But Jamada, we talked about where stuff's going to go in the early game. We discussed what the action's going to be. Which team's winning this game?
I mean, I think London, even with these relatively unorthodox drafts of running no AD carry, double mage, skirmishes on the top side, they normally execute so well. And even when they have more traditional drafts, they are the team that, at least to me, in comparison to NVision, it feels like the characteristics are more easily defined, right? I think for NVision, they've definitely been a team that's been more about some of the later game team fights. And they have traditionally been around about their top side, right? Mid-top, jungle, Fuyu, and Old Stones in the later weeks, kind of taken a backseat in terms of the level of impact they have. But that dynamic can change with a substitute, so it's hard, realistically, to gauge what exactly NVision is going to be like today with this new mid laner and Faded, but hopefully a more positive outlook than Thursday.
Yeah. We don't want to see more of that League of Legends gameplay from NVision, or that outcome from NVision, I should say, because, as much as I'd like to be quick in and out, 40 minutes done with this series, I want to watch some League of Legends. We already had a relatively quick first one, so we thought that one might be the closer of the two series, I think, from our predictions and from discussing it earlier. But NVision have some really talented players. And I want to kind of pick your brain a little bit. As someone who's sat and I watched pretty much every game of UKLC this split from behind the casting desk, excluding that night that Nightmare was outside your house with the wire clippers, yeah. Unotis versus No Name.
Yeah.
Is this the matchup of two of probably the best technical players in the league?
Yeah, actually, I'd say that's a pretty good call. I think both of these jumpers...
That's a pretty good hook, you know. Also, it's actually going to be flayed back. A lot of damage coming up through. I saw the Lee Sin looking around the back, but couldn't find it. So it's just going to peter out there. But also, needs to be a little bit careful of that one in the future.
Yeah, they can still make the dive happen, though. If they can actually get this wave under, Allstones is low enough that they can probably pick him off, but a little bit of indecision from No Name in the angle, maybe the comms in general. They weren't expecting Allstones to walk up like that. But yeah, like you say, really good call, honestly. I think both of these junglers may be mechanically the best that we have in the league. Of course, we also had the other two, in my opinion, best junglers playing against each other in Bakako and Godanica. I don't really feel like we got to see much of a head-to-head on their abilities as players last game, or in the series in general. It was more a team focus than individual focus, unfortunately. But yeah, I do agree. I think it definitely can come to fruition that we see maybe mechanics start to win out between one of these two junglers. I think especially when you've got a Lee Sin in the game, that can very often be the case. As things develop, especially once you see those level 6s come in, case and the point becomes even more true. So
Absolutely.
Looking forward to see what exactly they can do into these lanes, because, you know, setup definitely there in quite a few of them. Can be a little bit rough for some, but definitely a lot of angles that they can attack. You know, top side, if you're NVision, you've got the Trundle Pillar to work with, you've got the Blitz Crank on the bottom side. If you're on No Name, you've got a whole bunch of burst damage on the top side. The, you know, CC stuff isn't necessarily there, but damages, and bottom side, mid lane, once Beatly has access to the Shockwave, it's definitely good places to attack.
I'm excited to see where they decide to put their eggs, where they decide to put attention. And I mean, you outlined it very expertly a little bit earlier as we were moving on to the Rift, so we won't want to rehash that point. But these jugglers could have a huge, massive impact in terms of the outrunning of this game. Remember, it's best of 3 series, so don't worry too much if the team that you're supporting loses out in this first one. They've got an opportunity to come back. We didn't see that in the first game, but definitely a possibility in this one. And Allstones hanging around with Unotis on the side, maybe looking to pick up No Name, who could well walk into a trap, is thinking about it, and that's the game awareness. He knows that something's a little bit amiss, and the thing that is missing is his Raptors.
Yeah. So good game sense from No Name, not to immediately check. I think even if he did, Allstones and Honor just would have walked away, fortunately for him. So the timing not quite there for NVision, unfortunately, to find the pick, but you can still see how alert both these teams are in looking for plays like that. Looking on Mankey, but you can see the response already here for London.
Needs to be careful. Mankey taking a decent amount of damage, but will be able to survive and sustain through. And Allstones, that's not your tower. Going to go down first blood over to Mankey. Does buy enough time for Fuyu to get away. And there was a commitment there from Beatly. The teleport was used. The London Esports pick up first blood in this series and look towards the Dragon.
Yep, going to look towards the Dragon. They might. NVision tried to contest this between Honor and Faded, but I think there's just too many members.
Ooh, they are looking for a bit of contest here. Yep, needs to be careful. Got to get the exhaust down and will look to back away. Nice blocking from No Name, but he has to flash away as he takes too much damage himself. DBL is now here, but really nice ultimate. The Shockwave bringing back, and Akers is here to cut up members. Faded goes down. DBL goes down. And NVision, they went for the contest that looked good initially, but they get chased away. London Esports turned a good thing into a great thing and turn that into a Dragon.
Yeah, turn it into a Dragon they will. Bit of an overcommitment from NVision, unfortunately. And it's a great responsive Shockwave into the choke. It's one of the few things that Orianna thrives in. It's not the, you know, most well set up situation in this case, but looks like maybe Allstone's gonna be a bit of a nuisance on the Skull Crab. Won't necessarily steal it away or anything crazy like that, but walking into the choke versus the Orianna means that Akers has enough time to teleport in, pops the ghost, runs more people down. They find 2 more kills onto the solo laners. And I think more importantly, looking at where the kills were distributed, 2 out of 3 of the kills go onto Akers and No Name. That is really, really big in terms of advancing or accelerating them towards their first item spikes, particularly, of course, Akers. In this case, actually gone for the tier 2 boots with the Dark Seal, and actually also a Thorin's Blade, which is pretty interesting. Does give him the Omnivamp though, so I can definitely see the tech behind it. But now means he can start to build towards that, what you'd imagine will be a Rift Maker as the core item, and he's going to be a little further ahead of DBL for some portions of the game. And as for No Name, kills on the Lee Sin, we saw what he did with kills on the Lee Sin, 100% kill participation in that tiebreaker match.
It's just so good. It really is as simple as that. We've got to pause though, you know. Someone was like, no, he definitely didn't. So they've had to go and check, but they'll let us know when we get out of this pause. But great start for London Esports here. They've got themselves the first objective. They got themselves all those kills in the right places. And we spoke about this a little bit in our first series, actually, at the beginning, when we were saying Gwen can be a little bit of a trap at times, right? There are players who come in, they're like, Gwen's strong, and they haven't really been able to show what they can do. But Akers is certainly one of, if not our best Gwen in this league from performances in the split so far in competitive. And giving over this pick when it did so much work in the tiebreaker, that feels like a mistake from NVision.
Yeah. I'm not going to add any more to that. I just agree. I just yeah, I think.
Maybe I am an analyst. Maybe I'm a color caster.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know, good times. I'll roll swap. See you next split, kid. But don't worry, that's never going to happen. As we could have a fight coming in over here, actually. NVision looking to hunt down members at the back of the pit, find themselves a fresh. It's a big one. And they have Hook, Line, and Sinker killed onto Yep. And now actually for you coming through gets kicked back by No Name. Not a very big kick, but enough to send him packing. And London will back away. The pick was great. NVision could now look to turn themselves onto this risk belt.
Yep, absolutely can. With Fresh out of the picture, and of course No Name also doesn't have the ultimate. Looks like they will commit onto it, but No Name, they're not quite done.
Teleport coming through, actually.
Yeah, teleport from Mankey. So coming from the bottom side, pushed in the bottom wave. So that's resources being missed from NVision already. So already a bit of a, you know, backwards trade on the kill from earlier. Now they're going to look for the Herald fight itself.
The eye turns, though. It's going to be secured. I think London picked that one up as the fight will kick off in earnest. Axe needs to be a little bit careful hooking, but it's not going to be him. They've caught the Fresh once again. Nice shotgun. This time only catches one, but it's enough to get the kill as it is traded over. London will escape tail between their legs. I believe they managed to pick up the Rift Herald Eye as well. We'll just have to get confirmation of that, but nice even fight. And yeah, it was actually secured by DBL. So by NVision, he managed to grab that one. So that's a big swing for the NVision team.
Yeah, not bad for NVision. They trade out kills yet again. Tepe dies in the exchange, but at the end of the day, DBL has the Herald now. So if he's left alone on the top side, especially at the next Dragon, if London commit 5 members to it like they, you know, I'm not going to say consistently have, but they certainly have had a tendency to do occasionally. Good to see DBL just push out the entire tower by himself. Let's not forget as well, the Chomp does actually apply damage to the towers. They changed it a little while ago. If you are unaware, they did actually remove it for quite a long period of time. So now Tron will quite literally eat through towers very, very quickly. And if he's left alone for too long, there are a couple of worlds he could even make a charge to make it to the second tower.
It's an interesting one because we very rarely see laners being the ones to pick up Rift Herald. You want it on your jungler so you have that flexibility. But the fact that DBL has it, one of the better laners to grab it. I remember back in the day, I think it was called like Broken Teeth was the patch update when they removed that one initially because they were like, hey, why would he eat a tower? That's stupid. But it was also really broken on split pushing. And DBL now has this opportunity to get himself some gold back. He's a little bit ahead in farm, but still not having the best time into Akers. So this will really be able to help even out this matchup. And NVision also bought some time to grab themselves the plate bot.
Yeah, nice little bit of usage of the fog. Whoa!
Really nice hook from the fog, and Mankey goes down. This time around, they don't catch the Fresh, but they pick up the Seraphine.
They get the Seraphine. Mankey doesn't even get to flash, just dies too quickly. And now, yeah, top side, maybe a dive coming in. Orianna also rotating up to the top side. They're trying to crash this wave, or Akers is trying to crash this wave. And No Name is also already waiting for the play, but it looks like DBL's got a pretty good read on it.
Oh, he's been kicked back, though, caught out, the damage coming through. He's ulted onto Akers, but Akers is really not that tanky, so the damage coming through. But the tank stats are just not. No Name steps away with a sliver of health. Needs to be careful as he burns low. Gets the shield, double shield, as Feely comes in for the save. The rotation was good, as the London Esports secured themselves a kill top. But look at that tower bot, so much damage goes into it.
Yeah, 3 plates in total picked up there for NVision on the bottom side. Play is answered out on the top side though, so we have to take a look at how many plates Akers actually manages to pick up, because they got the kill, picked up, I think that tower started at 4 plates, so
I think a couple were picked up there.
I will say at the very least 2 were picked up, and that's a 1,000 gold difference between him and DBL. Of course, have to remember DBL does have the Rift Herald in his own back pocket, and is actually walking to the tower that he could immediately take down with it. So Gold Injection will definitely be responded with. Pepe potentially in trouble here.
He's going to be hooked back in, but he's got the Oriana ball on him, but there's just no follow-up. He's going to be able to flash over the wall of colors taken by Beely as the death sentence will not land. The box goes up to ensure no follow-through, and actually gets away this time around, but Pepe, one too many picks on him this game so far. I'm really 12 minutes in.
Yeah, I mean, it's just sort of the power of the matchup. Blitzcrank can just kind of walk up and thresh. Immobile target, and not only that, anytime he casts a spell, holds himself in place. Makes him a very easy hook target. NVision, really nice rotation. They're going to give up on this dragon. Try and funnel more plates onto Fuyu. Fun to see if we're going to come along and steal some as well. So it's going to be a second dragon going over to London. But a lot of gold being traded back on the NVision front. So really good cross-mapping going on from NVision here. And they could even not only just get this tower up here, but the Rift Tower is going to be summoned on the bottom side. So DBL is going to try and push on the bottom side to make this Herald crash. You can see the rest of London are going to try and respond to it. NVision pick up this tower on the top side, so that's gold lead accrued for them. They are 1,000 gold up. And Old Stones, he's primed for a flash.
He's chilling.
I don't think he should. All right, there you go.
I think he was just waiting to see if he could grab a little hook onto Akers, grab another pick, but yeah, London Esports need to try and get a return from this because that's a huge goal swing in the favor of NVision. They'll be able to pick up 2 more plates on the bot side at very minimum. This is a big wave, so could get more. And of course, Mankey doesn't need as much gold as Fuyu does, but a bit of a mismatch in the bot lane at the moment. And one thing that we were saying when we went into this one is, yes, London Esports didn't just get that plate. It's pretty sad, but London Esports do not have the most damage on this roster. It's a lot about support and making sure that Akers can get around. NVision just do not have that problem.
No. Damage across the board. Dual AD carries plus this Diana, and honestly, even the Trundle with the Divine Sunder build, if he's given enough freedom, he will deal all the dips in the world. In fact, for a large majority of team fights, if he's allowed to kind of just bonk on somebody, he'll probably deal more damage than a lot of the AD carries until the later stages of the game. So, oh, No Name.
Ooh, nice kick. That was very acrobatic from No Name. Kicking him while he was in the air. Managing to get away 3 levels higher, but there were members in support from NVision. The tower's gone bot as well, but there were not plates to be taken. Let's check in gold, actually, because it's almost a 2,000 gold lead from NVision, and that's practically all been on macro.
Yeah, it's all been on the cross maps. It's all been on the plates that they've put in to Fuyu. Fuyu, definitely the big benefactor here of all of these NVision plays so far. So looking towards him, not only to deal the damage, but what exactly can he do? Because it feels like, at least to me, throughout the split, we haven't really seen many opportunities for Fuyu to shine. It's been all about the top side. It's been all about Juanitas, DBL. It's very rarely been about Fuyu, especially all of the mid lane swaps. Beely potentially in trouble here.
Vader diving on through. Beely does have flash. He's going to have to use it over the wall. The culling will be wasted. But trading Summoner for Ultimate is always worth doing. And NVision, especially towards this mid lane tower, should be able to secure this one pretty easily as well.
Ooh.
He's thinking about trying to get a pick, but can't do so. It takes a lot of damage and has to dive away. The Death Sentence again will not land. London Esports maybe pushing for a play that just isn't oncoming. Oldstone's not going to be caught out. Takes the blast cone out and is looking maybe to get himself executed. But, you know, No Name. He's blind, but he's not that blind.
Well, I don't know. To miss the Q like that.
Okay, maybe he's a little blind.
Right.
Oh, maybe he's very blind. Oldstone's.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. He doesn't miss. No Name, 100% E hit completion.
Hey, he's got 100% kill participation.
Still, and 6 kills across the board. Very, very good from No Name. One of, as we said, we've been singing his praises in the early stages of this game, and he's going to be
like, we memed him there. Yeah, we memed him there. Feel pretty good. Akers now the recipient of a 4-man dive.
Yeah, but he might be able to step away. Gets drawn back in by the Diana, and yeah, maybe not. Maybe he doesn't get away from that one. It's going to be an easy one for NVision to take. So will this tower, actually.
Yeah, I mean, London are here to respond. Oldstone still coming out from base, but this tower is just gone. There is no way to hold up against 2 AD carries. Diana's actually a pretty mean tower taker, surprisingly. Plus, of course, the Trundle. So, a lot of gold traded. And NVision, we had worries after the tiebreaker, and I think rightfully so. But this one so far, NVision have been more about the gold. And I think it's a very clever way to play League of Legends. It's a way that very often we don't get to see many teams play that style so frequently anymore. I feel, even off the top of my head, by regional teams, I think Tricked Team Singularity up in the NLC were two teams that will play for gold like this. Give up those early dragons, right? Play for the Rift Herald, play for tower plates, play for towers themselves, and then you get to this third dragon, which is in 40 seconds, and then you just outstat the enemy team. This time around, though, despite themselves being 3,000 gold up, you take a look at the item completions and the potency of some of the items themselves. London, they might just drop this dragon if they go for this Herald. But realistically, 1-to-1, if they find the setup for it, most of the champions in this game are basically just on Mythic to Mythic for some components, which is really not that big of a gap, considering the actual gold lead itself at this time in the game. But it seems like they will at least secure the Herald for now. And it looks like NVision will just pick up this dragon for free. Gold on our screens. Big gaps, definitely in the jungle and the bottom side, as expected. Fuyu has been the one that's gotten all this gold. Beely hook.
Nice, good. He dodges away, but it was I feared for him. The dragon will be secured. The Rift Herald already taken by London Esports. They put that one in the pocket of No Name. See if he can drop that one and get something going. Aka's actually taking a tower, top lane the inner, going down to Gwen on his own. This is good play from London Esports. They've learned from NVision by watching, and now they're making the crossbacks.
Yeah, they take jungle camps on the top side. They get the top tier 2. They know they've got numbers committed onto the bottom side. It's just DBL alone by himself on the top side. They trade out on some gold. Close the gold lead, honestly, by 500. Just for one play, not bad.
These are the towers. You've been saying it yourself. They're so much more valuable now. And yeah, London Esports are still behind, but you're still looking at their team composition. If they can get a 5v5 team fight around something like First Baron, which is up in a minute's time, or maybe the next dragon even, they've got so many tools that one good ultimate from Beely could, or one good ultimate from Mankey as well, in the Seraphine, could just be all they need to completely take a fight. And if they can grab objectives on the back of it, job's a good one.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, right? The main key difference between both of these two teams, for the most part at the very least, is there is so much AoE on the London side of things when it comes to team fights, right? There practically every single ability here, ultimate ability, capable of hitting multiple members at the same time. Whereas you look over at NVision, realistically, it's kind of just the Moonfall. That's the big AoE ability to worry about. Yes, Blitzcrank ultimate, but we're not playing up.
I was about to say.
Pepe, backstep on that hook, had vision because of the wall. You can see Beely, obviously that's just All Stones, right? But still deals a fair amount of damage. You stack a Shockwave on top of that on some of those other squishier members. Get some of those other ultimates involved. You've got yourself a pretty good wombo combo in these team fights. So just because London are down a couple thousand gold, they're certainly not out. And Aka's consistently being a menace on the side lane. You can see just deliver the wave on the bottom side. Going to steal away some jungle camps as well. And NVision on this back window, not really going to be able to respond to much of it. Fortunately, Faded does pick up that side wave, but I continue to worry about the potential scaling issues NVision could run into when it comes to side lane and dealing with the Gwen. And even in the team fight because of all these AoE abilities.
There's fears for NVision if they get into that position. But that being said, they still have a 2,000 gold lead. They're still looking pretty decent. And if they can stop it being a full 5v5, or if they can grab themselves a really nice banner ultimate, then the damage and the items, especially from some of their more important members, will come to fruition. But this is going to be another tower going, and it's just Aka's once again. Baron, though.
Yeah, Baron summoned this.
It's being melted.
It's gone. I don't think. Yeah, it's gone. That's an NVision Baron.
Oh, and they've managed to get the hook onto No Name, but Allstones is on his own. There's just no follow-up coming through. The kickback from No Name. They're going to be able to take one Baron off the map immediately. But that's a really, really nice play from NVision, and now it's much harder for Aka's to get the push on.
All right, yeah, both these teams honestly playing a very, very strong macro game. It's almost a little bit like chess. Like one team makes one move, another team makes another. Very quick back and forth decisions. Yes, the Baron, very big to pick up. NVision, great, great, great decision to pick that one up. They did lose All Stones, but now with this siege in the mid lane, it is one of the harder places to siege. Gives NVision quite a few opportunities potentially to find some picks, but they still need All Stones on the map to do that. London recognize their window is closed and they will back away. But yeah, London, they go for the bottom side play. As soon as No Name drops that Herald, they're just like, well, No Name's on the bottom side of the map. We can probably do Baron. Double AD carries, both AD carries, very, very strong. They burst for it really quickly. So honestly, credit to NVision. Given the context of the tiebreaker game, playing a much different style. look a little more revitalized. That time spent between tiebreakers and today definitely looking to have cemented some kind of synergy for these guys.
Yeah, and they try to catch out Fuyu here. Needs to be careful, but he is cutting away exceptionally well. Fresh needs to get a shield to get himself out alive. NVision going to continue the siege on Half Baron. Remember, so this inner tower won't be long for this world. London Esports might look to try and pick up a fight, though, as DBL's the one shepherding the minions towards the tower. It will explode, and now actually you notice over the wall, O-Stone's over there as well, just making sure that no one from London Esports can go down to that top tower, which is also going to collapse. And NVision, this is very, very clean gameplay from them. They're pushing forward, they're trying to take every single gram of gold that they can find on the map, and they're doing so expertly well.
Yeah, they really are. This is a very pleasant game of League of Legends to watch. Genuinely, as Baron, they still got a minute on it, so they're going to look to shove through the mid lane, through the top side. The wave's a little bit out of sync though, so I think this is probably going to peter out the remainder of this Baron buff, and it's going to be about this dragon in 10 seconds time. London, a little bit out of position in terms of being able to contest this. So I expect NVision can just burn this one down, and we might go back into a bit of a stalemate unless we see a hooker and engage right here. And they've got the angle, but
they've got Beely, and he's going to take so much damage. He's going to be instantly deleted, and that could be the pick that NVision need. They're chasing forward, 5v4. Akka's on the side, not quite there yet, but Fresh going to take a whole heap of damage, gets blocked off, and will be chased down. Needs to be careful. They've still managed to keep 4 members alive, but Akka's is the only one who's feeling particularly healthy, and there goes the inhibitor. They've got Baron minions, remember. They've got the man advantage, and NVision might just have blown this first game wide open. They're diving forward. They're being chased away by the members of London Esports, but a re-engage. Remember, they've got Blitzcrank, could well be on the cards. Flash away from the dev sentence means that London Esports aren't going to be fine the fight that they want, but they are going to chase down. But yeah, once again, Yepe's the one that's being caught, and he's going to be deleted. Really nice jump, but the damage isn't coming through because Akka isn't able to get in. And NVision, scot-free, managed to make their way away. The perfect crime from the boys in green as they pick themselves up. Another hook. No Name gets caught out. He has to dash away, but Akka's is in the mix. No Name dives in, out, goes down. The shutdown onto Trundle. Now Maggie trying to float away, but Akka's is on the side all alone. Needs to be careful. Managed to take down Blitzcrank, but he's only the support, and that's the first kill that London have been able to find this fight. Fuyu and TBL are gonna dissipate, move up the river to safety. Akka's moving forward, really wants to gain something, but London Esports look a little bit like they're clutching at straws, and it's just not working.
Yeah, I mean, after the Encore came in, I was expecting No Name to commit in with a Sonic Wave, but just quite didn't. Now, double teleport, London gonna be forced away from this dragon. Could even get pincered.
Yeah, but it's just he's going to be the one in the track. He's going to dodge away from the dev sentence, going to be chased away. Akka's gets to play, but it's not going to matter too much as he's going to try and dive behind the minions, gets shielded, backs away. But members of NVision, they're the ones who have now got London Esports cornered. And DBL takes a decent chunk. Akka's able to dance away as the sniping come through. Doesn't get the damage down that was required. The dragon was secured off screen. But honestly, this game's super close. NVision even out neutral objectives and push towards the bot side.
Yeah, sure spot side if they want it. Seems like they are just going to let the wave crash, take away some jungle camps, and probably go for a reset. They've got that mid lane inhibitor. Picked it up a couple minutes ago. Because of all the shenanigans, they definitely wasted a couple of waves of this super minion lane. So definitely want to try to secure some pressure elsewhere. Because of the run of play, we're already a minute away from another Baron buff. So honestly, NVision making their way back out to the top side should just set up here a massive cloud of fog of war for London to have to deal with. And that is, again, one of the kind of core strengths of this composition. We spoke about London, all these AoE damage abilities. For NVision, it's all about the single target damage. And they've got the Blitzcrank just for that.
Time around, also is not able to find the hook. No Name doesn't want to dive on through. The dev sentence goes wide though, and here's the flank. No Name does have the kick, but is he going to be able to get himself away? The teleport coming on through. Can London Esports survive? Akka's is definitely doing a decent amount, but Notice is burning people through. No Name's dead, but here's the turnaround. Notice is gone in the middle of the London Esports team. They've already picked up one. They're going to cut through two. Akka's now the one who has to go statue form. Another dev sentence goes wide, as Akka's needs to be so careful. Can he sustain? Can he survive? No, he can't. As DBL running on through catches onto Mankey and Beely, who are looking to get back to their base. I don't know if they're both going to be able to get there, as Faded is chasing on. Nice icicle, nice pillar, means that Mankey is toast. As NVision, they've got 2 surviving members. London Esports only have 1. I don't think they'll be able to push through to end the game, but if they can catch Beely out, they can sure as hell try.
They might go for one Nexus Tower. I think it's a little bit greedy, though. You've got No Name spawning in 5 seconds. Same thing for Hefe. They will pick up that Nexus Tower, though. And they will just immediately back away. There isn't really much away for No Name or BD to catch up. Akers does have teleport, but still 10 seconds away. And that's just going to be the end of the play. A little bit scrappy. NVision could have definitely dropped the game here. Definitely could have dropped the game here, but fortunately Faded fantastic in that little skirmish there, mechanically dipping and diving, making sure he's never really going too low. And crucially not getting hit by any of these abilities, any of these CC abilities. Crucially, he's able to put out all the damage on the front line. Juanitis buying so much time as well, diving with the stopwatch. Skirmish definitely well played by NVision.
Can also fight anyone.
Oh,
he's going to be found himself. This time around, Old Stones is the target. He's going to be melted through it now. London Esports looking to chase on Fade and has been exhausted, take so much damage, and he's going to be deleted. Now they've managed to get onto DBL, and he's going to be ripped to shreds as well. London Esports find the fight that they so desperately needed. Now, what's the play? Is it Baron? Is it push?
It looks like it's going to be push. For now, I mean, they do have a lot of time to work with, and Juanitis still being up means that they may be not so willing to flip the Baron. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's just 2 members. The Death Timer's, you know, short for Old Stones because he's such a low level, but at the end of the day, with this bigger minion wave and 5 members, they might be able to push through for the end. There's genuinely a chance they could. Safer option, definitely the Baron, though. It looks like that's what they're going to back away and do. Juanitis and Fuyu, however, can follow this one out. Juanitis, with Flash, with Moonfall, could just well look for the 50-50. I mean, if you're NVision, I feel like you kind of have to. You don't want to just give up this Baron off the back of what seemed like a very whimsical way to die in the mid lane. No teleports from the solo laners. Juanitis and the rest of NVision, they're very, very skeptical about approaching. And they're going to approach now a little bit half-heartedly, but at the end of the day, yeah, it's too late.
Can they catch anything on the backside? Members of London Esports happy to get away with what they've earned, as we're going to have a look at that fight once again.
Yeah, so keep your eyes mostly on Faded. A lot of these AoE abilities just completely miss out on him. He doesn't really get hit by just about anything. Shockwave dodged away from Encore. He's staying right against the wall because he knows no one's really targeting him. It's all about the people diving in. And you can see the amount of damage he put out, probably the most damage dealt in that team fight. If I had to take a wild guess as to who did that. And just Stellar team fighting Hook. Whoa,
a big catch onto that melee minion. He goes down. Simple as that.
21 gold.
That's good. Good little
they want to go in the mid. Oh, Mankey.
They're hooking bigger fish now, and Mankey needs to be careful, taking it so low, but we'll be able to dance away. Fuyu flashes forward, but look at the fight on the other side. Really nice ultimate coming through immediately. DBL is melted so low, but Akers cannot get onto Lucian. He has to go golden to survive a second longer, but he gets breaking down himself. Everyone is falling. No Name gets an assassination and has to flee for the hills. Can he get the damage on the Faded? No, he can't. Yes, he can, as he picks up the triple. No Name is hunting rabbits. Fuyu is very, very low. Also, is the only person left to defend him, but No Name doesn't want to commit, doesn't want to lose the game for his team, is going to back away. Dragon on the menu. No smite available for NVision, but it is available for No Name. He's going to reset though, but these fights are crazy.
These fights are absolutely bonkers. And again, it's just about all of these micro-mechanical abilities going on in the middle of these fights. Because for London, AoE, for NVision, it's all about bursting down one target at a time. Outside of that Moonfall, that's the only time that they can really find these big AoE damage threats. And you can see Mankey just jumped onto, but on the bottom side, it's all about the shockwave. It's all about all of the needlework damage coming out. Encore wasn't there and available because it started off with NVision picking off Mankey. But again, Faded relatively safe on the front side of his fight, making sure he can burst down whoever goes into his operational ranges. Eventually, No Name does find him. And on the back side of it all, it seemed like Beely was doing his best to stay alive and buy time. And honestly, No Name, in a way, I'm kind of surprised he didn't actually go and commit, but I guess the only member left alive of Baron didn't necessarily want to flip it. Did have Flash though, so I'm pretty sure he had Flash during that fight, so I'm kind of surprised. I feel like he could maybe get a little bit more, but at the end of the day, it's not worth losing the Baron. It's not worth flipping a playoff game, quite frankly, and that one Soul Baron buff surviving means that they're going to push up in the top side. NVision
pushing mid though.
Oh, no.
Are we set up for a base race? They're going to be able to grab themselves a second inhibitor. Beely's the only person defending for London Esports, and they've got 2 towers defending. London Esports only have 1. Looks like the tower has dove. Beely's dead, and London Esports have overcommitted here. I don't think they're going to be able to get back in time. Teleport coming through from Akers, and members of London are going to have to defend him. Will the tower stand strong? It will stand for a moment. Akers is 3-on-1, 4-on-1. It doesn't matter how many it is. But now London are looking to crash through. They managed to take down one of these Nexus towers. They're going to try and go for the second, but it just doesn't matter because NVision have already taken their Nexus. What? Huh? Why? Why, Giovanna?
I can't believe what I've just. That is one way to end a playoff game. And NVision, I will say, I feel like it's hard to say if any team played better than the other. I think given some of the circumstances around the game, I will say big improvement for NVision in terms of the context of the tiebreaker match.
Oh, absolutely.
Obviously, NVision as a team, you know, slightly different with the substitution. It's hard to necessarily immediately equate them to the 6-1 second round robin team that we saw. But this was still a very good showing, and they come out of it with a win. So now the pressure is up on London because, quite frankly, that wasn't necessarily the greatest game from them. But we did start to see some of the merits and the positives that we constantly talk about when it comes to London, right? They were still willing and very quick to respond to plays that NVision were making, which was obviously the very positive thing to see out of NVision. So still very much there and on the ball for London, but it just turned out to sort of end up being an execution-based game in these team fights. And I would say NVision won out on that front, but we just saw them end the game on a base race. So I'm just gonna.
It was a game of. You said it was a game of chess, but then both of these teams flipped the board and threw everything everywhere. But we're going to jump to a short break. When we come back, we're going to be trying to break down what happened in that game as NVision pick up the first win in this best of 3 semi-final. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a few minutes.